plant. These 15 perennial vegetables once then enjoy reliable harvests year after year, easy grow. Imagine planting a vegetable garden just once and enjoying fresh, homegrown food year after year without resowing seeds every spring. That has the magic of perennial vegetables. These special plants come back season after season, saving you time, effort, and money while building healthier soil and a more resilient garden ecosystem. You'll discover 15 delicious and easy-to-grow perennial veggies that keep giving harvests over and over. From early spring greens to flavorful roots and stems you'll love cooking with. One, dandelion greens, wild perennial nutrition. Dandelions are often dismissed as weeds, but they are actually a true perennial green with edible leaves, flowers, and roots that you can harvest repeatedly from the same plants. Young dandelion leaves offer a slightly bitter, nutritious flavor perfect for salads, sautés, and herbal teas, and because the plants are already adapted to many climates, they regrow easily each season. With minimal care, your garden, or even lawn edge, can become a source of these perennial greens year after year. To enjoy dandelions as a crop, let them grow in a sunny patch with rich soil and pick younger leaves for milder flavor. Older leaves get more bitter as they age. The deep taproots help break up compacted soil and pull nutrients up for other nearby plants, making them a surprising asset in perennial patches. Two, rhubarb. Tart stalks year after year. Rhubarb is a hardy perennial vegetable whose striking red or green stalks add a bright, tart flavor to desserts, sauces, and summer drinks. Once planted in fertile soil with good sunlight, it will return each spring, producing more stalks as its root system strengthens with age. Many gardeners treasure rhubarb because a single plant can last for a decade or more, giving dependable harvests with very little replanting effort. To care for rhubarb, allow plants at least one season to settle in before you harvest so the roots can establish deeply and vigorously. When it's time to pick stalks, twist or pull them gently and never eat the leaves, which contain natural toxins you should avoid. With proper watering and mulch in winter, rhubarb thrives long-term and becomes a staple part of your perennial garden's harvest cycle. Three, sorrel. Tangy greens from one plant. Sorrel is a perennial leafy green prized for its bright, lemony flavor that livens up salads, soups, sauces, and even stews all season long. Unlike many annual greens, once sorrel's root system is established in your garden bed, it returns each year with tender leaves you can harvest again and again. Its vibrant growth early in spring makes it one of the first fresh greens you will enjoy before many other vegetables wake up. For best results, choose a spot with rich soil and consistent moisture so leaves stay succulent and flavorful through the seasons. As you harvest, pick only portions of the foliage at a time so the plant keeps producing without stress. With minimal care, sorrel becomes a dependable perennial that adds a zesty edge to your meals year after year. Four, chives, mild onion flavor every spring. Chives are a popular perennial herb vegetable that returns each spring with slender green leaves filled with mild onion flavor perfect for soups, eggs, salads, and garnishes. Once you plant them in a sunny bed or container, they form clumps that expand over time, ready for you to snip fresh sprigs with kitchen scissors year after year. Their pretty purple blossoms in summer also attract beneficial pollinators, making chives both useful and beautiful in any edible garden. To keep chives vigorous and productive, divide the clumps every few seasons so they don't get overcrowded, and water them during dry spells to keep leaves tender. These hardy perennials are forgiving of novice mistakes and grow well even in small spaces like patio containers or herb beds. Five, Jerusalem artichoke nutty tubers for harvest. Jerusalem artichokes, often called sunchokes, are tall perennial plants that thrive in many soil types and send up delicious nutty tubers you can harvest year after year. These edible roots pack a slightly sweet, earthy flavor and are excellent roasted, sautéed, or even eaten raw in salads. Once you plant them, they spread readily and become an easy, low-maintenance crop that doesn't need annual sowing. Because they can spread more than some other perennial veggies, many gardeners give Jerusalem artichokes a dedicated area so they don't crowd neighbors. Simply leave the tubers in the ground after harvest, and they'll grow back in subsequent seasons with little care. Sunchokes bring you dependable food year after year and make a great choice for beginner gardeners who want reliable production from a single planting. Six, tree onions, walking onions, Easy Allium perennial. Tree onions, also called walking onions or Egyptian onions, are fascinating perennial alliums that produce edible layers of small bulbs atop their stems, which eventually fall and root themselves. These bulbs sprout and multiply without replanting, giving you a growing patch you can harvest indefinitely once established. Fresh tree onion greens, bulbs, and little cluster onions add mild onion flavor to stir-fries, salads, and savory dishes throughout the growing season. Plant tree onions in full sun with well-drained soil and enjoy watching them naturally spread as bulblets locate new growing spots each year. Because they don't need yearly sowing and keep reproducing themselves, they are one of the easiest perennial vegetables to grow. Seven, asparagus, spring's long-lasting spears. Asparagus is a classic perennial vegetable that you plant just once and, with patience, can enjoy every spring for years. Though it takes a couple of seasons to establish strong crowns, once it does, those tender green spears pop up like clockwork and signal the start of your garden season. Asparagus adds great flavor to salads, pastas, and simple side dishes, and its deep roots help stabilize your soil while reducing the need for yearly planting. To grow asparagus well, pick a sunny site with rich, well-drained soil and prepare generous organic matter before planting the crowns. In the first year, focus on watering and weed control and resist harvesting so the plants can build strength for future seasons. Eight, globe artichoke. Edible flower heads year after year. Globe artichokes are striking perennial vegetables that reward you with large, edible flower buds that taste rich and nutty when steamed or roasted. Once planted in a sunny spot with well-draining soil, these plants can produce for several years before they need replacement, making them a long-term staple in your garden. Their tall, architectural foliage also adds beautiful texture to beds and borders, perfect if you want both food and garden charm from a single perennial crop. To grow globe artichokes successfully, choose a site with plenty of sun and good air circulation so the plants have room to spread and develop. Water regularly in dry spells, mulch to retain moisture, and cut off spent flower stalks to encourage more buds rather than seed production. 9. Lovage, a tall, flavorful perennial herb vegetable. Lovage is a lesser-known perennial that tastes somewhat like celery with a rich, savory depth perfect for soups, stocks, and salads once you harvest its glossy green stems and leaves. This hardy plant will come back year after year, growing tall and lush if you give it moderate sun and moist, fertile soil. It's a wonderful choice for gardeners who want perennial greens that flavor dishes naturally. Because lovage can reach several feet in height, it also creates vertical interest in beds while feeding your kitchen with robust aromatic leaves. When growing lovage, plant it where it can stay for many seasons since it doesn't like to be moved and want to perform well if constantly disturbed. Welsh onions, perennial alliums with mild flavor. Welsh onions, not to be confused with bulb-forming onions, are perennial alliums that grow in clumps and produce mild, spring onion-like green stalks you can harvest repeatedly. Once established, they return each year and continue to produce fresh greens that add gentle onion flavor to salads, stir-fries, and soups without needing you to replant them. These hardy perennials are excellent border edges or kitchen garden staples for anyone who loves fresh aromatics on demand. To grow Welsh onions well, give them rich soil and regular moisture, and divide clumps every few years so they stay vigorous and productive. You can plant them in dedicated rows or mix them into herb beds where they will also support pollinators with their tiny blooms. 11. Sea kale, unique early spring greens. Sea kale is a perennial vegetable that produces crisp, cabbage-like shoots in early spring long before many other greens appear, making it a favorite for gardeners who want fresh harvests as soon as the ground thaws. Its tender shoots can be steamed or sautéed like asparagus, and the leaves can be enjoyed similar to kale, offering a slightly nutty taste that's especially delightful with a bit of lemon. Sea kale's deep roots help it survive multiple seasons, giving you productive harvests year after year without replanting. Growing sea kale requires patience at first, allowing it a season to establish strong roots before heavy harvesting ensures long-term productivity. Site it in rich, well-drained soil and provide consistent moisture so foliage stays tender and flavorful. Chinese artichoke, crispy tubers to enjoy often. Chinese artichokes are perennial tuber vegetables that form small, knobby roots with a crunchy texture and mildly sweet flavor, perfect for salads, stir-fries, and pickling. They easily grow in a variety of soils and come back year after year once you plant them in a sunny, well-drained bed, making them a fun and unique addition to your edible landscape. Their squat, leafy plants also work nicely in mixed beds alongside herbs and flowers, so you get both beauty and bounty from one planting. To cultivate Chinese artichokes well, choose a site with moderate sunlight and keep the soil evenly moist but not waterlogged so the tubers develop fully. Once they have established, you can harvest tubers in fall or early winter and leave smaller ones in place so they regrow next season. 13. Perpetual kale, greens that keep growing. Perpetual kale is a hardy leafy green that behaves like a perennial in many gardens. producing fresh leaves from the same plant across multiple seasons without needing to be replanted. Unlike annual kale, which you sow every season, this perennial variety keeps offering nutrient-rich foliage that's perfect for salads, sautés, smoothies, and stir-fries with little yearly effort beyond harvest and care. Because these plants are built to survive, they often endure cold weather and continue growing when other greens fade away. When planting perpetual kale, choose a sunny spot with fertile, well-drained soil, and water consistently so leaves stay tender and sweet rather than tough. You can harvest the outer leaves regularly without harming the center shoots, encouraging continuous production throughout the season. (14) New Zealand spinach. Summer greens that return. New Zealand spinach is a heat-tolerant perennial green that thrives when traditional spinach struggles in warm weather, giving you abundant, tender leaves from one plant for many seasons. These soft, succulent leaves have a mild flavor that's excellent steamed, sautéed, or tossed into salads, and they add fresh greenery to your plate even in hot summer months. Because this spinach is perennial, you don't have to sow it every year. Once established, it keeps coming back for seasonal harvests. To grow New Zealand spinach, choose a sunny to partly shaded spot and a bed with good moisture, since its succulent foliage loves regular water. You can cut the outer leaves frequently, and the plant will keep producing new ones without losing vigor. (15) Malabar spinach, vining heat-loving greens. Malabar spinach is a perennial vine with thick, heart-shaped leaves that remain tender and flavorful even in the hottest weather, making it a perennial favorite in warm climates. Unlike annual spinach, which quickly bolts, Malabar spinach stays productive for years once it's established, climbing supports while supplying you with fresh, juicy greens for salads, wraps, and sautés. This lush vining plant can become a staple in your garden, adding vertical greenery and reliable harvest from a single planting. To cultivate Malabar spinach, give it sturdy support like a trellis or fence because its vines can reach many feet long if happy. Regular watering and a sunny location help keep its leaves succulent and delicious through the growing season. Conclusion. Thanks for watching. By choosing perennial vegetables, you're not just planting crops. You're reinvesting in a garden that feeds you long-term, improves soil health, and lets you enjoy fresh produce each year with less replanting and upkeep. Start with the ones you found here, care for them thoughtfully, and you will be rewarded with reliable harvests season after season. Now go get your hands dirty and grow something that keeps on giving.